This one is to be a harmonic fitted inside the under turbo. It's not here.
Hey, what's up guys? We are back with another video. I'm hoping in today's video we can get as far as we possibly can on the M135. So that means putting both wings back on, oil pipes, coolant pipes, rad pack back on. There's a whole couple of things that need to still go on the bumper. So stay tuned and let's go. So diving in straight into the action, I am busy tightening up the tensioners and the pulleys just so that the bolt can be all nice and tightened when we do eventually get to pull the car. Next thing, we had to jump onto the oil cooler radiator pipes. So this was damaged in the accident, and we did run a bit of a bypass onto them just because we needed to see if the engine was running all good and that the oil was going back and forth. So now that we've got the new ones in, I'm just going to be changing over the O-rings. We did put new O-rings on, but this is very, very important. Otherwise, oil will be leaking from the engine. So don't forget to put your O-rings on before you connect the pipes. Alright, so now that we've done the top end of the pipe, it is to get to the other end of the pipe, and I cannot stress again these bloody O-rings. Make sure you get them onto the ends before fitting anything on. So once that is all nice and fitted on, we can finally get to this oil cooler radiator. Now that the pipes are on, we can finally get the plastic cover. So it is like a bit of a duct intake cover that does allow the air to flow from the bumpers straight into the oil cooler radiator. And I just want to get everything bolted onto it. So I'm going to bring the front crash bar beams onto it. They have been aligned when we did get the chassis straightened up. So here I am just busy tightening them up so I can connect the oil cooler radiator to them. Now, just as I wanted to put the lower bumper reinforcements on, my old man did point out that the front crash bar beams were incorrect and I had swapped them around. So here I am busy undoing what I had previously done so we can just get them on the right side and then get those lower bumper reinforcements on. So once the correct parts were in the correct position, I turned my focus onto the intake pipes. So this goes from the intake manifold into the intercooler. So they're very commonly known that they do have faults on the M135s because they do come from factory in plastic. So I've changed ours over to the aluminium one. Just gives a bit of a stronger hold on those intake pipes so that it doesn't crack in the future. It is finally time to get this old crusty dented bonnet off. So yeah, you can see us dismantling the bonnet from the hinges. Luckily the hinges didn't take too much of a knock, but we will be changing them anyway. So once we get the bonnet off, that does give us more space in and around the engine to put things back, like the coolant bottle, a couple of the pipes that sit further back, and then of course making our way to the front, getting all those coolant pipes, oil pipes, everything that needs to go in and around the engine. It just opens up everything a lot more, just so that we can get everything in place. Now this is one of the most stressful moments in the rebuild. It had seemed that one of the retaining half moon clips had been swallowed into the turbo, which could then have damaged the turbo and the engine, but luckily this was not the case. It was then sitting in the other 118 M Sport, so it was just to get that on and get it fitted. Finally, all the oil pipes, coolant pipes, everything's back together. So now it's time to put the rad pack on. Now let's get this rad pack put all together and back onto the M135. So I'm just going to be securing the sides of the rad pack, which consume of the AC condenser, the intercooler right at the bottom, and the coolant radiator. This of course is the rad pack. We'll get that onto the car fitted with all the pipes, just to make sure that water can run freely and that it's also cooling the water down. So this plays a very big role in cooling your engine down, so we need to make sure that everything clips in and holds tightly, otherwise there will be coolant all over the place, and the engine could potentially overheat and sort of blow itself up. So in order for us not to get to that stage, we need to take our time and just make sure that everything is in the correct position, which did take a bit of time because of course I've never done this before, so it was a bit of a trial and error to try and see exactly where all these pipes fitted. So sit back, relax, and enjoy us struggling to get this rad pack on. So eventually we figured out that fitting on the air intake pipes from the intercooler straight to the turbo on the rad pack before putting the rad pack on was the best solution. Because the engine is so big, the engine bay doesn't necessarily have a lot of space to maneuver your hands in and around the pipes. So once we did that, everything fit together like a glove. Once that was completed, it was finally time to put on the complete front panel. So this consists of all the air ducts, a couple of the foam bits, and the front crash bar, all the metal bits as well where everything else attaches to, including the brackets for the headlights. So now we are going to start bolting everything together, start putting the air intake ducts in, and try bolt it all up. So these are just a couple of photos that I took while we were in the process of putting everything back together. I just want to give a big shout out to my guys who did get the front bumper painted nicely, and of course just trying to make sure everything looks the part, which it looks spectacular. Next thing to do is to get both wings back on aligned properly, and then we can test fit the front bumper onto the car, followed by all the grills, so building up the complete front bumper. Let's go. Now first things first, to get the wings off we need to take the 10mm bolts that run all along the side of the car, and then there are a couple right at the bottom with a couple of plastic clips that, if you're not very careful with it, can break because they do get quite brittle. But if you just take your time, do it slowly, take a screwdriver flat, and that should necessarily sort it out. As soon as you've taken all the bolts off, then it is time to just fiddle around a little bit with those clips, and then that's one wing off. So here is our new freshly painted right front wing. As you can see here, everything is looking good, not a single dent to it, and the color has been matched perfectly. So just as we took it off, we'll put it back on exactly the same way, starting at the bottom, getting it first into those plastic clips, and then working our way around the car to then bolt everything up again. Like I said, I'm not necessarily too stressed about fitment at the moment. I just really want to get this car back on the road. Once that was all into place and bolted on nicely, next was to tackle the bonnet hinges. So like I said, it wasn't necessarily too bad, but I'd always suggest if any vehicle has had a front ender, definitely change the bonnet hinges, because if they just move ever so slightly, it can affect the alignment of the bonnet. So yeah, we've taken off the bonnet, removing the hinges, and they'll go back exactly how they've come off. Now that we know the front bumper sits nice to the wings, I'm not really too worried at the moment about alignment. I just want to get this car done and dusted as soon as possible. I can deal with alignment a bit later. I'll whip off the bumper quickly and let's get those headlights on. Now the infamous M135's headlights. Now because we didn't get a chance to remove them off the M135, of course because of the accident, it was a bit of a mission trying to get them back on together again. These headlights do have a couple of tabs at the top and at the bottom as well, so luckily enough the bumper wasn't on, so it did give us enough space to then find out where all the tabs are and just trying to get them bolted down and also aligned to the wings, because if they don't align to the wings, they won't align to the bumper. If they don't align to the bumper, they won't align to the bonnet. So it was just a bit of a fiddle game getting them tucked in nicely and then bolted on. And finally, the M135's front bumper. Yes, it is looking nice and shiny, but everything still needs to be rebuilt and go back into it. From your parking sensors to your washer jets, kidney grills, lower grills, you name it, everything needs to go back on. So I started off with the washer jets. Yes, the caps were painted as well with the bumper as well, so everything matches up nicely, and then I'd move on to getting the sensors in, getting the kidney grills in, lower grills, side grills, getting essentially everything built up on this bumper so it can just then fit on straight onto the car and we should be good to go. Now I've opted in for these blacked out kidney grills. I just think they look so much better on the car, especially being right in the front makes it look a lot more meaner. So getting them fitted in wasn't too bad. There are just a couple of plastic clips that it does attach to the front bumper, and then we moved on to the parking sensors, just making sure they've got their rubbers right in the front so that the parking sensor does clip in nicely. Moving on to the lower side grills. These are the ones we actually waited for so long from BMW. Apparently they just couldn't find them, but eventually once they had arrived we could get them onto the bumper. And then it's last but not least the lower grille. So guys, it starts and it holds coolant, holds oil, so I am super amped for that. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like what you've seen, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share it with anyone you think that will like these kind of videos. Stay tuned for the next video so we can finally finish this rebuild off, and then I've got a surprise for you guys later. Take it easy.